All right, video number 2. We are still in no calculator. Calculator does not happen until question 18, so still not using a calculator, guys. All right, George graphed the line shown below. What's the slope of the line? So simple, okay? Start at the y-intercept, which is 4, and notice which way your line is going. I'm going this way, so I'm going positive, and it is rise over run. So how much am I rising and running to get to another point? Find another point that's easily graphed, which would be right here. I'm rising 2, and I'm running 3. So 2 over 3. So simple. It took me 30 seconds to do. All right, the table below shows the amount of money Bernard, I just went to 16, sorry. I'm going back and forth on the page, it's weird. Shirley graphed the line shown on the coordinate plane. What is the x-coordinate of the point at which the line intersects the x-axis? So this one is not so easy. It is clearly on a decimal right here. I can't just guess that it's halfway. It's actually not halfway, so we need to actually figure this one out. So they give you 2 points. That's going to help us find our slope. This is a negative slope. We're going down 1, 2, 3 to get to that other point. We're going over 2. So remember your equation, y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope. So right now I have y equals negative 3 over 2 x, and I also can't determine my y-intercept because I can't just assume that that's halfway, so I'm going to say plus b. So I'm going to plug in one of the points that they gave us, and it doesn't matter which one you use. I'm just going to use 1, 5. It's my x, it's my y, to get my b. So I have 5 equals negative 3 over 2 times 1 plus b. 5 equals negative 3 over 2 plus b. I'm going to add 3 over 2, add 3 over 2. So 5 plus 1.5 means 6.5 for b. So now your equation is y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 6.5. If I'm looking for the x-intercept, that means when the y is 0. When the y is 0, what is the x? So I'm going to plug 0 in for y. 3/2 x plus 6.5. Solve it for x. Minus 6.5 minus 6.5. Negative 6.5 equals negative 3/2 x. How do I undo a fraction? I multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply this by a negative 2/3. Multiply this side by negative 2/3. Negative 2 times negative 6.5 would be positive 13 over 3. I can't simplify it any further. So 13 over 3 is the point where we intersect the x-axis, okay? Again, why you can't assume that you know what this point is. It wasn't halfway, it was a really ugly fraction. All right, 17, last one before calculators are allowed. The table below shows the amount of money Bernard earned selling newspapers during a 6-week time period, which describes the relationship between the week X and the money Bernard earned Y. So a weak positive relationship, a strong negative relationship, a strong positive relationship. I think you're allowed to use calculators here, actually, because there's not really a way to interpret this without using a calculator. So I'm going to say this calculator goes to 17 and 18. Like, I think right here starts calculators. Okay. So you're going to use your graphing calculator. You're going to enter this table into statistics. You're going to hit second. You're going to hit y equals. You're going to plot. And you're going to zoom. That is if you want to use the graphing calculator. You can also plug this as a table into Desmos and imagine a line going through it. The actual graphing calculator in class will put a line going through it. You can hit 9. It will actually put a line going through it. Desmos won't, but I don't have my calculator here from school. I forgot to bring one home. So I'm going to use Desmos on my phone and show you what you could do. So again, if you want to use a regular calculator, first thing is to plug this into the table in statistics, and then you can do this order sequence to figure out the line of best fit. Or Desmos.com, you can make a table. You just hit the plus and maybe table, okay? and then just plug your table in. So my weeks are going to be my X. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My Y's are going to be the money. So 100, 110.6. Week 3 is 130.1. Week 4 is 130.8. It's really hard to do on your phone. 130.8. Week 5 is 150.15. And week 6 is 170.25. So again, it's not going to show you the line of best fit, but it will show you the points. Okay? They look something like this. So that is a positive relationship, and because it's going up, right? And it's strong because the points are close together. If the points are really spread out, it is not a strong relationship. But when the points are close, when the points are close together, okay, you have a strong relationship. So this is a strong positive relationship. Weak is when they're all scattered. 18, a system of equations is shown. What is the approximate value of x in the solution of the system? This is also a Desmos one. Very, very, very easy. Once you're allowed to use calculators, plug this into Desmos. So first equation, y equals negative 2x plus 4, straight line. Second one is exponential, y equals 2 raised to the x plus 1. And look at where it intersects, okay? What's the approximate value of x? Well, just click on where it intersects, 0.692, so 0.69a. I just did that without even doing any work on my paper. So a for that one is the approximate value for x. 19. The volume of a cone can be found using the formula V equals 1/3 base times height, where base is the area of the base of the cone and height is the height. H is the height. A cone has a volume of 262 cubic inches and a height of 10. What's the approximate length of the radius? So one thing they don't tell you is base. Base is a circle. How do we get the area of a circle? Pi r squared. Okay, that's the area of a circle. This was taught back, I know I taught it in 8th grade. So volume is really 1/3 pi r squared times h as well for a cone. So they tell us the volume, so I'm going to plug that in for V, 262. Pi, I don't know r, so pi r squared, height is 10. This is all being multiplied. So you're going to divide off 10 pi. Divide off 10 pi. So when I divide off 10 pi, I get about 25.03, and I square root to get r. So about 5 would be r, because about square root of 25. So about 5 is my radius for 19, volume of a cone. Number 20, M is the midpoint of KL. M is at 5, -2, and L is at 3, 6. What are the coordinates of K? Okay, so imagine, if you will, M is the midpoint, and he is at 5, -2 of KL. Okay, and L is at 3, 6. So what are the coordinates of K? Okay, so this distance needs to be the same as this distance if we have a midpoint. It literally means middle point. So let's think, how do we get from 5 to 3? How do we get from -2 to 4 or to 6? And we need that same distance worked toward K as well. Okay, so let's see how we got from M to L. Let's look at the X's. From 5 to 3, what did you do? Well, I minused 2 to get from 5 to 3. So I can't minus 2 again to get from 5 to K, but I can add 2 to get from 5 to K. So I'm going to add 2, and that's going to put me at 7, okay? Now let's look at Y. How did I get from -2 to 6? Well, I added 8. I can't add 8 because that would just take me to 6 again, but I can subtract 8 to get down to K. So -2 minus 8 is -10. So 7, -10 is your points for K in order to make M the midpoint. All right, number 21. A quadrilateral has vertices located at -3, -5, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, -1. Which best describes the figure? I'm going to see if I can plug this into Desmos and make it easier for myself to see the figure. So I'm going to hit plus, I'm going to add a table, and I'm just going to put these vertices in my table. So -3, -5 is the first one, -3, -5. 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, -1. I feel like I did something wrong. -3, -5, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, -1. Okay, now I guess I didn't do something wrong. So my shape looks like this. It looks weird to me. So I know it would probably look weird to you guys. So you're like, what the heck shape is that? Well, let's look at the options they gave us. Rhombus, rectangle, trapezoid. Okay. Well, first of all, a rhombus would mean all of the sides are actually equal in a rhombus. They're just tilted slightly. And this shape, if I were to connect these points, I know it would not give me this rhombus. Okay, rectangle, we all know what a rectangle looks like. It makes 90-degree angles. This is not happening. Trapezoid can look like this, typically, but it can also be stretched out. And this is a really funky looking trapezoid. So the answer for this is C. I just eliminated A and B as my answer choices, and 21 is C. It will be a trapezoid. 22, a school opened with 100 students. The number of students has increased by 25% each year since the school opened. Which function can be used to determine the number of students at the school X years after it opened? So since we're going up by a percent, this is an exponential, which means you can already eliminate A because that is a linear. Now the question is it just 0.25 or is it 1.25? Remember that we always add 1 into our problem so that we keep the 100 students. If you just do 100 times 0.25, you're actually losing students. If you try this in your calculator, you're actually going to be at less than 100. But if the school is growing because it's increasing by 25%, you need to keep the 1 there so it keeps accounting for the original 100 students that were there. Okay, so the answer here is C. 100 students times 1.25 for the 25% growth. Because if you remember, we have 1 plus or minus our percent. If we're growing, then we're plussing our percent. So 1 plus 0.25 for 25%. 23. Jenna cuts a piece of cloth several times. The table below shows the number of pieces of cloth she has after making several cuts. Which equation could be used to determine the number of pieces of cloth Jenna has after making X cuts? Okay, so let's see what we're increasing by. We're plussing 2, but we are also timesing 2, timesing 2, timesing 2. Okay, so think about if you plug 1 in for X, what is going to get you 2 here? If I plug 1 in for X, A will work. And if I plug 1 in for X, 2 to the first power, B will work. If I plug 1 in for X for C, it's not going to work. It's going to get me 1 squared, which is just 1. So it's not C. Let's plug in 2 cuts. If I plug 2 into A, I'm going to get 4 pieces of cloth, which works. If I plug 2 in for B, I'm going to get 4 pieces of cloth, which works. So we're still tied. Now here's the kicker. Let's plug 3 in. If you plug 3 in for X for A, you're going to get 6. The pieces of cloth that comes out, though, is 8. So it is not A. Okay, A is also a linear, and this is an exponential. When we're timesing, we're doing an exponential. 2 to the third power means 2 times 2 times 2, which is in fact 8. So your answer here is B. 24. A teacher surveyed 160 students to see how many students leave school during lunch. The result of the survey are shown in the relative frequency table below. Approximately 1% of the boys surveyed leave school during lunch. So let's look at leave school. Let's look at boys. We're at 0.125. All you need to do, guys, is convert that to a percent. Move the decimal over twice. 12.5%. That's not an option, but it says approximately. So that means 12.5% boys leave lunch. That doesn't mean your answer is 13, okay? Because we need to figure out, that means 12.5% of the 160 students surveyed. But we don't know what that means of how many boys, okay? So you need to take your 160 and multiply it by 0.125. And that would tell you that there are 20 boys. So this number here for leaving school is 20 boys. Now it says approximately what percent of the boys surveyed leave school during lunch. Okay, approximately what percent of the boys surveyed leave school during lunch. So that means out of all of the boys surveyed, well, how are we going to figure out how many boys are surveyed? Also take your 160 and multiply it by this 0.40625 to figure out how many boys stay at school. So I'm going to take my calculator, which again I don't have, so I'm doing this in Google. 160 times 0.40625 means 65. So that means this is 65 boys. So 20 boys leave school out of 85 boys total, because 20 plus 65. So now 20 divided by 85 is 23.5%. So approximately 24% B. Okay, so again, I just want you to keep in mind this 0.125 doesn't mean, oh, 13%. It means you need to figure out how many boys leave school, how many boys stay at school. Take the 20 boys that leave school out of the total of 85 boys, not 160 students, but 85 boys, since the question is, what percent of the boys surveyed leave school during lunch? 2 more in this video will be done. Number 25, liquid is evaporating. The amount of liquid remaining in liters after X weeks is modeled by this equation, 100 times 0.78 raised to the 3x. Approximately what percent of the liquid evaporates per week? Approximately what percent? Give me 1 second, guys. I'm getting a phone. Okay, we're back. So, all right, liquid's evaporating, right? After X weeks. So we're at 100 times 0.78 raised to the 3x. Normally we have seen raised to the x. Okay, so this is not our percentage anymore. This is 0.78. Our percentage comes from 0.78 raised to the 3rd power. Okay, when you plug that into a calculator, you get 0.47. 0.47 times 100 to get percent, 47%. Okay, so the answer here for A is A, 47%. It's not just 78% from this. Normally it would be if it was raised to the x power, but it's raised to the 3x power. So you need to do 0.78 times 3 first. All right, 26, the function y equals 45x plus 6 can be used to determine the cost for a person to purchase X tickets to a concert. A person can purchase up to 8 tickets. What is the appropriate domain for the function? Okay, all integers less than equal to 8, all positive integers less than equal to 8, all positive real numbers less than or equal to 8. So a person can purchase up to 8 tickets. If we say all integers, that means that we are including negative. And can we have negative tickets? No, so it's not A. All positive integers means whole numbers. Integers means whole numbers, 0 to 8. Yes, you can have 0 tickets, you can have 1 ticket, you can have 2 tickets, you can have up to 8 tickets. Meanwhile, all positive real numbers means that we are including decimals. Okay, so real means decimals, integers means whole. We can only have positive tickets, so your answer here is B. All positive integers less than or equal to 8. So this is the end of video number 2. Take a stretch break, go to the bathroom, get some water, answer questions on the next page, and then watch video 3.